Hey guys, welcome back to Broke Boys Armory. Today we're going over my fiance's carry gun. So I don't really want to hit a traditional review video with this one. The goal of this video is to kind of talk about how she came to the conclusion of this gun and maybe some tips that will help you guys like get your partner maybe to help them select a firearm. So the first thing we did is I let her try a bunch of different firearms before she even carried anything. And then she just gravitated towards the Ruger Security series, like the Ruger Security 9. And she really liked that gun. 15 plus 1 capacity. You know, it's similar to a Glock 19, takes Glock holsters. It's a pretty good deal, but she had trouble carrying it because it was very heavy. She didn't want to put it in her purse. She didn't want to off-body carry or on-body carry it because it was just too heavy. So down the line, I kept having her try different guns as far as, hey, honey, hold this, because, you know, I'm always going to gun shops. And maybe sometimes of her own fruition, she would want to come over and try the firearm and hold it herself and see how she felt about it. Now, one day we went to the gun store and there was a few different firearms, and she ended up holding the Ruger Max-9, and since the ergonomics are similar to what she was so used to, she ended up gravitating towards that gun relatively quickly. She really liked it. We ended up getting that for her. And then we've only fired around 125 rounds so far through it. It's functioning just great. We only took it out in 2 range sessions. She only shot it the first time. The first time she shot it a few times, like a handful of times, just to make sure that the carry ammo was going to work and that it functioned. And then the second range trip was more of a heavier range trip where I sat down and made her shoot 100, not made her shoot 100 rounds, but kind of encouraged her, because with women and with anybody, especially new shooters, is you have to keep them encouraged. So one thing that I would take away is if you have like a 22, the torch is not on the wall because we're using it at the range, but I'll have a SIG here. But if you have like a little 22 full-size handgun, this is clear by the way. If you have a 22 full-size handgun that you could kind of start the day with, because no matter what anybody says, when you're cold, you're not going to shoot as good as when you're not cold. You know, when you're cold means you haven't shot. You know, let's say you haven't been in the range in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. You're cold. But at the end of the range day, you're warmed up and you're going to shoot better. So she got to experience that, but it could be kind of disheartening for people who aren't used to that. So the reason why I say get the 22 trainer is because it's a lot easier for you to get on target and get multiple shots on target in quick succession without being that experienced of a shooter. And that helps build confidence going into maybe something that's a little more heavy recoiling and it's going to take you a little harder to make those shots in quick succession. It's a good warm-up, basically. But I had her shoot the Ruger Max-9, and you know, obviously she wanted to shoot it, and she shot 100 rounds through it, and she, at the beginning, wasn't doing super hot. She was probably hitting 6-7 shots out of the entire magazine on the target, man-sized target. And then towards the end of the range session, she started liking the gun more and more because she started realizing more success. One of the things that you will notice in the footage that she was doing and the things that she needs to work on was at the very beginning, and she didn't do it more so towards later, but her, like a lot of new shooters, were anticipating recoil. So what that means is you could see her dip the front of the firearm down as she's going to shoot it right before she pulls that trigger in anticipation of the recoil. That's just something that you break the longer you shoot firearms and the more often you shoot firearms. I have a feeling it maybe not have been happening to that degree if I would have started her out with the 22 that particular day. Now, when we go to the range, normally she shoots the 22 before she even touches anything like 9mm or anything like that. But last time we went to the range session, it was a little bit different because I kind of emphasized, hey, you really need to get some rounds downrange with this gun because you haven't shot it all that much. So we more so focused on that gun rather than get her warmed up. But I think even though that I was concerned about her getting rounds downrange with her gun, I maybe should have stepped back and took a look at it from her perspective and maybe let her shoot the 22 first instead of at the end of the range session to make her feel better and more confident about herself when she goes and shoots her carry gun. So those are just some takeaways that I've learned, and I hope if any of this, helps you guys. And maybe helps you pick out a new firearm, or maybe even how to do some range sessions with your, significant other's firearms and their range session days, whatever. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, that's all I got for you today.